Are you ready for this second full moon in Capricorn during this Cancer season? Hi, my name is Tamara Bartmus. I'm a natural wellness educator, energy worker, and astrologer. And today I want to dive into what to expect in the next few days of this Capricorn full moon. I don't know if you felt the energy, but we have definitely had this theme of family karmic patterns, at least in my world, coming up, needing to be addressed. And interestingly, so much has happened here in the world. And as a nation, I reside in the United States. And some of that is very much tied to what we're going to discuss during this full moon breakdown. So let's dive into it and see what we can learn. So as we go into this second Capricorn full moon, remember we are still in Cancer season. It will shift nearly immediately into Leo season, but this again, we're still having this dynamic play out between the themes around Cancer energy, maternal, nurturing, emotional, safety, security, and then Capricorn, which could be paternal or career, work, legacy, and government and structures and order. And that tension is definitely being played out during this second full moon. Just as a side, I have a free zodiac sign specific essential oil cheat sheet for you. So if you're into natural remedies and want to know how to practically use essential oils to support your energy sign or to support you as the sun moves through the different seasons of the year, then check this out. It breaks down into physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I think you will find it very informative, and you can check that out with a link in the description below. All right, let's just look at this for a second and pay close attention to what we are seeing as far as major aspects. Now, there's nearly, I believe I calculated 7 of the 12 signs of the zodiac are going to be impacted by this full moon in very specific and potent ways because of out of sign conjunctions. Particularly, if you can see right here, we have an out of sign conjunction with the moon and Pluto. We have another one over here with Uranus and Mars in Taurus and Gemini. And then of course we have Cancer, and then we have Chiron and Neptune retrograde. These are all getting hit during this full moon because of some key aspects, particularly this cardinal T square. And this is a trapeze, cradle, base, basket, whatever you want to call it. And it's hitting a lot of different points. And so I want to break that down for us just for a little bit. First off, when we're talking about a full moon, we're talking about our emotions that have been sort of subconscious and under the surface are coming out to be seen under the light of this full moon. We can't hide it in the darkness anymore. And what makes this extra unique is because Pluto is out of sign conjunct with the moon. And even though it's for a relatively small moment, that Pluto in retrograde conjunct our moon means, yeah, some deep emotions, some old history, even generational patterns are showing up to be addressed and to be seen. And this can create a lot of tension because we have in Capricorn that energy of tradition and, structure, order, family, government. These are a lot of old energies that like to maintain stability, right? And then you have Aquarius that comes in and it is like, hey, this can be done better. Let's shake it up. And Pluto's been doing that in its retrograde as it continues to move back into Capricorn, and then we'll go back out into Aquarius when it goes direct later this year. But in that tension dynamic of these two signs, they do work well together, and yet they also don't work well together. And just remember, the ruler of Capricorn, or where the moon is at during this full moon, is in Pisces retrograde. Saturn is in Pisces retrograde. And the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus, and it is in Taurus, conjunct Mars. And so it creates a lot of conflicting tension, and it's hard to quite separate it because it all feels melded and merged, and it is sometimes just so overwhelming. So if you're experiencing a certain level of emotional overwhelm, financial overwhelm, even spiritual overwhelm, this is a moment in the sky that is just presenting and bringing to light what needs to be addressed for the next phase of growth, especially because these key outer planets, Neptune, and Pluto being retrograde, it is not so much, I mean, you can interpret it as an impact on the generations, but I would also say because they're retrograde, think of it more of I need to do the deeper digging and internal healing before the generational impact can be had. So yes, might Pluto be exposing wounds of our world, of our history, of other things for sure. But all that story can't change until we take ownership and responsibility for our emotions in that part of it and what it's bringing up within us. And so as a person with an ancestry and with a history of your own choices and of those the effects of the choices of those who came before you, this is such a poignant time to be sensitive to what is showing up on the table to be addressed, to be healed. And there are tools to do this work. It's not so much the moment of healing in all this energy placement, is more of the moment of exposing. The healing will come and you can receive guidance, but I just want you to know that these aspects are not necessarily conducive to, oh, we're going to figure it all out right now. It's more like, here's the struggle, here's the pain, here's the challenge. Now let's work on it. Let's work through it. All right. So we have this cardinal T square, and I want to highlight this real quick. So this is hitting the moon, squaring Chiron in Aries, which has been there for a bit, and then coming down to the sun and then opposing again the moon. So this cardinal T square, and anytime we talk about this particular basket pattern that is going on here, and you have a T square associated with it, it creates even a more level of intensity to the dynamic, okay? So let's focus in on this T square. When a T square is on a chart, you're really looking for the apex of the T square as the relief point or the awareness point. So the apex of this T square would be Chiron in Aries. So just a reminder of what is Chiron in Aries? Well, Chiron is the wounded healer. So depending on where you are at in your journey, with your own relationship with yourself, you might be in a more healed state, or you might be actually addressing some of these wounds right now, where it is massive feeling of not enough, in some way or another, where you are lacking courage, you're lacking assertiveness, you're having a lot of fear come to the surface, maybe a fear to confront somebody or to confront a situation. Maybe you're being overtly aggressive. You've taken it to the other extreme. Maybe you have a fear of stepping forward and being the leader, because you don't want to be overly aggressive, or you don't want to be seen as aggressive. Some of those wounds are being exposed. And so if you have a lot of Aries energy, Chiron passing over it is helping refine that energy for you, but it does expose a lot of that pain right now of our individual perception of ourself. So maybe, again, if you've already healed this, and this is wonderful because there are positives to Chiron and Aries, it can bring about a very resilient person who knows how to face their wounds head on, who's bold and assertive and determined. So that is awesome. And those positive qualities are what we are aiming for when we're trying to address this cardinal T square, okay? So just remember that, hey, the tension between maybe some family patterns, some Cancer energy and some Capricorn energy is really going to be resolved when you learn to heal your sense of self. When you take that Chiron wound and shift it. So again, personal, standing up for yourself, stepping into who you are, and bringing out a little bit more of that assertiveness, that confidence, and choosing to see life and yourself in life differently than maybe this passive, like, oh, I can't do anything. It's just too hard. I'm too scared. And it's very interesting because the Piscean energy that comes before Aries is actually this great invitation to lean into the faith of who you can be and can become. And Saturn and Neptune in Pisces is helping to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. The other thing that I think is really important is that when you break down this cradle, this trapeze or basket, you can see the outside lines, and then you can see these trines that sort of crisscross across the basket or the cradle, okay? And these crisscross lines create this aspect that is a trine, a sextile, and a sextile, okay? And when we are interpreting these energy points, this becomes complicated because there is so much out of sign conjunctions. Because we have, like in this situation, we have Uranus and we have Mars. They are within relatively close proximity, and they have over the last week been that way. They are now, Mars is in Gemini and Uranus is in Taurus. And so that creates its own unique flavor of 4 different points, okay? And then you throw in the aspect of it hitting Neptune retrograde and trining the moon and Pluto in those 4 signs, or those 2 signs. So you have 4 points of energy here, 4 points of energy hit there, and 1 point of energy here. So that creates essentially on one layer of interpretation, like 9 different points of energy merging as one. That can get really overwhelming and complicated. And so to break this down and to simplify it, just remember that it's when sextiles are introducing opportunities and trines are indicating abilities. So here we have, what is the opportunity? Well, it's pointing to Neptune in retrograde in Pisces. And that is the theme of really leaning into our, actually Neptune, when it goes retrograde, becomes even more intense in its ability to either make us avoid and ignore the things that we need to see. We become more illusioned or disillusioned to things, or we can lean in and dissolve those illusions, pull off the mask, see things for what they are, and really dive into analyzing our fears, analyzing our faith, and analyzing our vision of how to move forward. So it can be a great opportunity, and Neptune being such a spiritual leaning planet, make sure that you pay attention to your dreams. Your dreams can really be helpful in indicating the subconscious things that are ready to be addressed and healed so you can move forward. So that's a big point there. When it comes to what's going on with this sextile and a trine, we go to the apex here, which is that Uranus and Mars in Taurus and Gemini. And one of the things to remember is that the opportunity, again, the trine is your ability. So your ability to learn and to shake things up, even financially, when it comes to your wealth, or your resources or your values, that opportunity, maybe exposed by your emotion or generational patterns, is going to, that ability to do that, to address that, to get curious, to work on it, is going to help you shift those out of those illusions and those patterns and make that change. Now, when we look at this other side of the basket or cradle, we have the opportunity to work with this Mars Uranus energy to expose the abilities that expose the opportunities and vice versa, okay? So again, the sextiles are the opportunities that are being presented. We have an opportunity to address the combination of our body. Mars is the ruler of Aries, so this is going to impact how we show up in this Chiron wound. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, which is going to show up in this Pluto retrograde experience. And then it's trining the moon and Pluto. So a lot of interacting dynamics at play here. And it's all being integrated and all being exposed with the sun in its place. And remember, the sun is this planet that in astrology that helps unify, helps bring all together and bring in a more conscious way and self-awareness of like what is ready to shift and change. So I would encourage you as you go through this full moon to be very kind to yourself. It is a lot of energy and you don't have to figure it all out in the next few days. Let it be aware, be sensitive, be kind to yourself as these emotions might surface and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not comfortable with these emotions. any moon in Capricorn is like, why the heck is this? Why do I have to feel things? But that is very like the way to move towards your goals. The way to move forward is to actually be aware of these subconscious patterns and emotions, however nonsensical they might be. They are real, they need to be felt, and they need to be moved through. So I hope that if you feel like your life for a moment is beginning to crumble, that is okay. It won't always be this. So take a deep breath, and take a moment to gain some perspective, because this cradle aspect is really about learning to not avoid the struggle, to lean in and say, okay, what has been really hard, and what have I gained from this hardness, this struggle, and sort of clearing away so you can build a new foundation. And this is going to impact so many different parts of yourself, like because of this unique aspect patterns that are happening. It's going to impact your career. It's going to impact how you show up in your home, in your core relationships, as a parent or as a daughter or son. It's going to impact how you change and move forward into this next shift of Pluto moving into Aquarius in direct motion, not in retrograde. It's going to impact how you show up physically in your body, like connected to who you are. It has great potential for shifting a lot of things in your life. And the challenge is to not let it be something that needs to be resolved or remedied in the moment, but to be aware of it. What am I feeling? Where is it located in my body? Where is it showing up in my life? What are the things that I'm seeing that reflect back to me, some of my beliefs, some of my emotions, and how can I take responsibility for it? So as a tool that I love to use, it is a tool that you can purchase on Amazon. I publish it through Kindle Direct. It is a workbook that is for Cancer season specifically, and I have another one coming out for Leo season here in a second. It just has to be approved, and you can order it and use it to work through the energy of the season and how that relates to your own birth chart, and become more proficient in being aware, because awareness is where we step into a place of power where we can choose to change, and we can use our power to say, this isn't serving me. I want to change and take responsibility for that. In light of that, I recommend, if you have essential oils as a tool to support your body and your energy through these shifts, to use sweet fennel. Now, I love this oil. It's actually, some people don't love the taste of licorice, like black licorice, but that's the flavor of it. And when it comes to the energy of this essential oil, it really helps you tap back into yourself. So, and when we're addressing some of these key points of the full moon, like the wounded sense of self, maybe some old generational patterns when it comes to our emotions or our structures of life, and how we see that and how it shows up in our identity and in our nurtured self, or maybe our mother wounds and our father wounds. The benefit of being aware is that we can take responsibility for it. So if you have experienced a weakened sense of self, this can support you in stepping back into yourself and strengthening your sense of self, to reclaim your power, to pull you out of fear and shame patterns, which it is very easy to do when we get triggered, or when we get become aware of something that we've been doing for a long time that has really been detrimental to us. And instead of hiding away in our fear and shame, we say, okay, I see you. And that fear and shame can lose their power as we step back into, with a sense of personal responsibility, into saying, now what can I do to change this? Fennel can help us reconnect to our body cues. So if you are, again, a lack of sense of self, you've disassociated from your body physically, this can help you reconnect and begin to say, oh, where are those emotions? Where are those things stored that need to be worked through? And support your body in the actual metabolizing of those emotions. It can help pull you out of any kind of negative dopamine-driven activities. How many times are we overwhelmed? This This is sort of a Neptune theme. But when we're overwhelmed by emotions or stimuli or life circumstances, when we're in so much overwhelm, we just want to grab our phone and just like scroll through it. And it's mindless scroll, and we're like chasing some kind of dopamine. Well, that is not productive for our growth. And so to help us step out of that, use some fennel, put a drop underneath your tongue, put a little bit on your belly button, your third chakra, and help you really center yourself and step back into, oh, like this device might not be the way that I find who I am again. And really ground yourself into practical, simple things in your physical life that you can do to help shift out of the mental overwhelm that might be there for you. So again, if you want to learn how to use essential oils for zodiac support, start with this cheat sheet. It will begin the journey for you. I think you'll really like it. And I hope that you find this helpful. This was not, I didn't mean to do this so long. It is way longer than I should have. But this is an important full moon, and especially with it being the second full moon, and especially with there's being so many patterns that we carry that we need to shift when it comes to who we are as a person, and our mother patterns, our father patterns, and what that looks like in our life experience. So I hope you found this helpful. If so, please like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below how you're feeling or what is going on in your experience right now, what's getting triggered, and how you're growing through it. I love to see how people step forward from a place of positivity out of victim patterns and saying, no, I'm owning this and I want to change this. And because of that, they are inspired in how to change it. And it's so unique to each person. But if you stop, be still, and listen, that Neptune retrograde at 29 degrees Pisces, you guys, like once Neptune moves through here, it's not going to be the same for most of the rest of your life. You're not going to have this again. So lean into this energy and this opportunity to get the lessons and the insights of your subconscious patterns and the things that need to be healed so that you can move forward. So enjoy your full moon, and I'll see you on the next video.